Staffing, facilities, and site meeting. We'll talk about everything that requires need to be taken care of while having such meetings in our organization. What are the hazards that needs to be taken care of? How do we mitigate them and how do we process it? So let us understand what we will be discussing in this presentation of staffing, facilities, and site meetings. First and foremost thing, please understand what are the hazards that are associated at your workplace and how best to control them. The key elements of well-functioning health and safety committees is what we are looking into it. Basic legal requirement for health and safety at in your workplace, the way you want to go around it. It is the hazard that needs to be kept at a distance, at the same time require the smooth operation of the organization. Remember the principles of health and safety. It is the employer who is responsible. It is the buck stops at the desk of the employer for maintaining the healthy and a safety environment in the workplace. The employee should involved in developing the policies, involved in executions of the program. There should be no sanction as far as health and safety related activities are concerned. Employers should implement best and most effective practices, most effective policies to protect the workers from hazard. Thereby, how do we process it? Let us understand. Now, these are basically your roadblocks or stumbling blocks that have been kept on the roads, which states not to cross it. And if we have a ribbon around there which says this place is out of bound for a certain period of time, now that is what can be required in your workplace. What is going on in your workplace, and understand what are the hazards that are prevalent. Let me give you the five categories of hazard that is there in the workplace that may cause a distressing moment among the employees. First and foremost is the chemical and dust hazard. It is all about your cleaning product, the pesticide, the asbestos that we require about it. The ergonomics hazard, it is all about repetition, lifting, and awkward pole position. It is the way you work. It is the way it interacts with your body. The physical hazards are the noise and the temperature, extreme radiation that we talk about it. Then comes the safety hazard. It's all about slips, trips, and falls. Fault. This might be due to the faulty equipment. This might be due to the unhealthy practices that have been carried about it. And the most dangerous one, which I believe so, is the biological hazard. It's the mold, insect, pests, and communicable diseases that can creep in and during your work procedures, creep in when you are in your office, and so on and so forth. So let us understand the hierarchies of control. How do we eliminate? The best methodologies is what I call it PPE, is a personal protective equipment. It requires the workers to wear something. If it is working in a civil industry, construction industry, a helmet and a boot is a must that we're looking into it. If you are working in a pharmaceutical industry, you should be protected with a complete body cover so that you are taking care of your pathogens. So requires the workers to do or the employers to do something in administrative control, including us building a sense of cultures around it, the work practices. Engineering controls are requiring a physical change to the workplace time and there, what we are associated around here, and at the end of it, we need to eliminate it. Remember, the being the least effective and the most effective is how we go around every now and then. So control, let us understand engineering control. Controlling is at the source, at the time you are building our infrastructure, ensuring that they are being completely in a protective environment. Limit the hazard as early as possible, but probably you cannot remove it. Definitely yes. So it can put mechanical guard, put wet methods for dust closures and isolation, dilutions and ventilation, having a railroads, having a proper equipment, having redesigning the tools time and again is what we are looking at it. We are looking for avoiding hazard before the conception of or before the erection of equipments and plants or the organization setting is all about it. Then we can have the controls in form of an administrative. Now this is where we can reduce the employee exposures to the hazard. Again, possibly limiting them, but probably not eliminating them. Changes in the work procedures, such as you may not be allowed to permit in an area until and unless you are in a proper attire. Proper attire is the personal protection equipment which are mandatory for that particular job purpose needs to be done. So it should be written safety policies and rules that needs to be mentioned. Schedule changes such as lengthen or additional rest breaks, job rotation, adjusting to the workplace, training with the goal of reducing duration, frequency, and severity of exposures to hazard. That is what we are looking forward to all together, time and again, for your understanding. So, personal protective equipment or PPE is the last resort that comes around it. I have given photographs, pics for you to understand the helmets and the breathalyzers or the way you want to take your breathings, which completely comes with the filters altogether. The sound pollution that comes with the ears, you need to take care of it. The ear gloves, the mouth covering, the face masks that we are talking around it. It is all about your special clothing, the eye protection, the hearing protection, and the respiratory protection that one needs to entail around here. That is what we are looking as far as PPE kits are concerned. Again, employing the fact that what needs to be done. We have discussed the engineering controls, we have discussed the administrative controls, and now is what the personal protective equipment is all about it. So major elements of effective safety and health programs are the committee programs, are the factual procedures, the health safety officer or HSO as has been taken care of. The health safety officer will ensure that every employees are aware of the perils of the job. Work work site analysis needs to be understood. If there are any ergonomically issues around here, hazard preventions and control, safety and health training as the case might be, as the case you need to come forward with. So management committees and employee involvement go hand in hand. Absolutely, has been shown in the pic. Top management involvement should be visible, have an authority and resources to implement the program. Employees' involvement in the programs are a must in their decision that affect their safety and health should be encouraged time and again. This is what we are looking at it. This is what we are accepting it. This is what is going to happen as on when on basis. This is through management committee and employee involvement go hand in hand, go together, which should be clearly stated in the website policy. It should be clearly communicated on the notice board with the specific goals and objectives. All aspects of the program should be assigned and responsibilities should be accounted for. Now is the program operation needs to be reviewed at least annually to evaluate and make revisions as and when on necessary. Work site analysis. It is the workplace, the shop floor, the office decorum that needs to be understood and objectively identified, as in if there are possibilities, any hazard creeping in or any accidents happening, identify all existing hazards and conditions that might create a new hazard altogether. An efficient program includes actively analyzing the work site to anticipate and prevent harmful occurrences time and again. This is worksite analysis, shop floor analysis, office place analysis, workstation analysis, and so on and so forth that comes around it. Hazard preventions and control triggered by a determination that a hazard or potential hazard do exist, where flexible prevent hazard from effective design of the job or job site. Elimination is possible, do it, go ahead with it. Control your hazard, prevent unsafe and unhealthy exposures altogether. Eliminate or control must be accomplished with a timely fashion. This is what we are looking forward to every now and then. This is what is being demanded for every now and then. So how do we go ahead with it? First and foremost thing is to do a training, have a training calendar when which it should be mandatory for all the employee to be participating in the training, address the safety and health responsibility of all the person and to all the person, ensure that they understand the hazards, they understand what they are being exposed to, they understand the repercussions of their actions that they will be doing in case if they are not following the strict policies or the company's procedures that has been laid down. Ensure that the managers understand that the health and safety responsibilities are of very important thing. We need to understand what standards or regulation exist, what you have already identified under occupational safety and hazard analysis, OSHA, as the case might be. It is all about record keeping. Look at an example, requires most employers with at least 10 employees, minimum of 10 employees to keep a log of injuries and illnesses. Now, this log of inquiries or injuries will let the workers know what kind of precedents have actually happened in the work sites or workplace. Workers have to write to review the current log as well as the logs stored in the past 5 years, what type of accident had happened. So these people should be aware of. Workers have the right to view it. Annually posted summaries of injuries and illness. We need to understand the exposures in the medical records also. The exposure record will tell me the environmental and biological monitoring, the personal workspace, the material safety data sheet, or popularly known as MSDS. Again, repeating it, material safety data sheets. Medical records will tell me the questionnaires, the result of the examination, the lab test, the opinions of the medical professional, the diagnosis and first aid records, descriptions of the treatment that comes around it. Hazard communication standard is to ensure employers and employees know about work hazards, how to protect themselves so that the incident of illnesses and injuries due to the hazard chemical is reduced. Hazard communication program is what we are looking for it. Container labeling is what we are looking for it. Absolutely maintaining on the stating on the container as to what kind of material has been programmed around here. It should be stated. And foremost and most important thing is the MSDS, the material safety data sheet that states what kind of material that one has been working with. So occupational exposures to hazardous chemical in a lab, we are talking about a chemical hygiene plan capable of protecting employees from health hazards associated with hazardous chemical in the lab, capable of keeping the exposure much below the limit. This requires an SOP, that is what the standing operating procedures of working or handling such things, such chemicals, employee informations and training, and definitely the health safety officers, HSO, or the chemical hygiene officer, the way you want to go around it, should be enacted. Plan should be readily available to employees and employee representative as in case any unfortunate accident happens through. So bloodborne pathogen standards are to prevent needle sticks and other exposures at work to blood, to body fluids that contain blood, identify workers at risk, provide safe needles, ensure universal precautions are being practiced, provide personal protective equipment, provide prompt evaluations and treatment, provide hepatitis B vaccination, record keeping, and training the workers on an eventual fashion every now and then. This is what the bloodborne pathogens are all about. It remember, biological hazards have a temptations of actually snatching away the life of a person, of an employee. In fact, all hazard have potential to eliminate human lives altogether. So this is what we need to keep in account when we are working for it. This is what is important. Asbestos hazard emergency response, or AHERA as the case might be. It is usually there in all low-cost buildings or commercial buildings, or let's say in the work sites, or in godowns and so on and so forth. We have to have such kind of factors built in, conduct regular inspection assessment condition, provide training or custodial maintenance of staff in general awareness, more extensive training for workers during small jobs and emergency cleanup, cover state and local workers who performs asbestos work who aren't covered by OSHA. It applies It applies everywhere, every now and then. So how do you think about MSDS? You look at it, this is a file that comes around it, reports, logs, absolutely. And the documents needs to be collected, needs to be reviewed, it needs to be told, it needs to be sensitized. And how often should you review is one of the fine decision that you need to text around it. Remember, every log, every note, every record that you put in the program should be, it should be available to everyone, because this acts as a preemptive methodology of avoiding accident in your workplace meeting, worksite meeting, facility management, and staffing issues. With this, I come to an end of this particular presentation. Thank you for watching this video.